All right, welcome to the other video. If you haven't already seen it, there is another video that I have included on creating isometric grids. So do have a look through that one, and I'm going to show you how to apply these to our screen so that we can actually start creating our proper objects. So I've actually created one in here, and there he is there. And I'm just going to copy and paste this across, and there it is there. Now, in order for this to work correctly, I've actually created this in its own individual layer. Now, mine's going to have some options attached to it. There they are there. I'm just going to move them over my screen. So they're going to play an important part in my overall object. I'm going to select on those, and I'm going to go to View once I've got that selected, and go to Guides, and go to Make Guides over here. What this actually does, this creates this as a workable guide, and it's going to be sort of hidden away, so we can see it, but it's not going to be as much as a tangible object. And you can also go to Guides and Lock Guides. So it's going to hide them so I can't actually accidentally grab them. And these are actually going to act as guides. So as we create, it's going to lock into place. Now you'll notice that we can hide the guides. So by hitting Control and semicolon. So that's a nice little shortcut to hide and show the guides, or we can obviously go down to View, Guides, and there is the shortcut there. So that's a good option there. I do have it in a separate layer, so I can hide it that way. But in the meantime, it's pretty good. So I'm actually going to lock that as well, and then we can go into actually building our object. Now I'm going to turn the guides off for a moment while I do create this. I do have my actions here. And again, I'm going to jump into button mode, and here I have my actions. I'm going to accidentally press that one there, but we can continue on from there. I'm going to start looking at creating some basic shapes from this. So I do have a new layer for this. This could be my build layer. And don't forget, if you don't like the color of your lineature, when you start creating this, you can double click on your layers here and change the color of that to a different color. But green should be fine for your build here. And you'll see occasionally you'll get a color that's just not going to match with what your background might be. So let's have a look at R2D2 here. It's basically a cylinder shape with a domed head, and we've got some rectangular components and squares here. And we're doing isometric, so it's either going to be left, right, or top-based. So let's have a look at building, first of all, maybe the cylinder shape, which is a bit unusual because it's slightly more complex than actually drawing a box shape, but we've already done the basic box shape before. Now, in order to do this, we need to think about the shape of the cylinder, and essentially what it is a circle, which is now, and we're looking at a cylinder that's going to be downwards facing, up and down, and that's being converted into an isometric top and bottom, and then we've got a dome on the top. So let's have a look at creating this basic shape here. Now for this, I'm going to select my ellipse tool. Shortcut is Alpha Ellipse, obviously, and let's see if we can get this happening here. Let's make sure we're actually selected in a layer. That's visible. And I'm going to have no fill selected, and let's give it a stroke. Make it black, just to see how that works out. And I'm going to create a circle now. I already kind of know the width, so I'm going to use that. And great, we've got a circle. Not very exciting. Now I'm going to move that across the image. Now we know this is a top-facing shape for this. So I'm going to hit ISO top, runs through the process, and creates that as a top component here. So that's pretty good. Now to do the base, very simply, all I'm going to do is hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to copy that, hold down Shift, and I'm going to drag that down to the base as well. Now, you may want to look at the alignment of this sort of stuff, but for now, you can get the basic shapes in. We've got a top and a bottom for this. Now, the next section is basically going to be a fill-in. So if you follow these procedures, you're going to get us most of our shapes. Now, we've got a few options here. I can grab the pen tool, and I can click. I need to select on something first. And I can click on my shape here, and I can hold down Shift, and I can drop in there, and I can drop in, and I'm just going to close off that shape. Now, it looks a bit strange at the moment, but I'll show you what it's going to do in just a few seconds. I'm going to actually create another one on the other side, and again, holding down Shift first, and I'm going to create that shape and close it off. So now we've kind of got something that's going to work for us. We may need to jump in and move these slightly. Now, the big thing that we need to keep an eye on is that these are actually closed shapes. If this line is sticking out or in, we're going to have some issues. So these lines need to be within the lineature of the shape. So do keep that in mind. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump to this really important tool. So this one here, shortcut is Shift M. It's the Shape Builder tool. So I'm going to select on all of those shapes. Now I'm using again the V tool for this. I'm clicking and dragging all of those, and that's selecting those particular shapes there. So you do want to keep your objects separated when you can. Now there is another option here as well. It works quite often, and it's this sort of lasso tool right here, and again I can click on that and grab our quick lasso tool, and the shortcut is Q for this, trying not to get confused, and I can draw around, and that will select those objects as well. And it's actually quite a good tool if you need to sort of loop around quickly to select objects. But I'm going to grab those for now, and I'm going to go to my Shape Builder tool. Now, Shape Builder tool, as I hover over, you can see it starts defining blocked out areas. It's very similar to the Pathfinder tool, and this is going to help me define my shapes. So if we're looking at a cylinder from the top, well, this is all going to be one shape. Great. As far as the front goes, this is all going to be one shape. And then we have it. We have a basic cylinder. Now, at the moment, it's not really filled in, so let's just drop a gradient onto that, just to help us visualize what's going on here. Now I can jump into my direct selection tool, shortcut is A, and I can now select on that top component there. And I may want to jump to my gradient tool and change the direction of that gradient. You can see we're starting to build some decent shapes there. A tool, select there, gradient tool there, and we can jump around. We can obviously change this around as we get more and more detailed. Okay, so that's great. We've got kind of a cylinder shape there, which is great. I'm going to grab the ellipse tool again, and I'm going to create a ellipse. And I'm going to keep this as a sphere shape, and I'm going to expand that out. And I'm just getting the dome shape of R2's head here. Now, this is now placed in front of my cylinder. I can, if I want, right-click on this and go Arrange, Center Back. And we're starting to see where this is going here. Again, we need to make sure our lines match up. Illustrator needs to know that we want these to join up at some point, even though they are technically still separate shapes. Once again, I'm going to select on those. I'm going to go to my Shape Builder tool. Once again, that's Shift M, and I'm going to close off these shapes. Now, occasionally you might get little overlaps, but you can clean that up as you go. And there we have it. We're starting to get a little bit of an inkling of the shape of R2D2. Now, you may need to do a little cleanup here and there. That's to be expected without deleting. And that's basically because we are dealing with some overlap areas, and sometimes you can clean it up with the Shape Builder tool and sort of run over some areas without messing it up so much. All right, let's get on to the next section.